Welcome to the About This Love podcast with your hosts Dale and Charel. To get all the latest ATL podcast news and media, please follow About This Love on Instagram, Discord, Facebook, and YouTube. Please consider supporting the About This Love podcast today by submitting a donation via PayPal or Cash App. Click on the link below to find our podcast and social media platforms. Thank you. Now for today's episode.
How you guys doing today? You are tuning into About This Love podcast with myself, Dale, and my wife, Charel. Say what's up.
Hey.
We were talking off air just about how can you trust a person's character? And what I mean by that is oftentimes we watch people, we interact with people, whether if it's at work or if it's even like for those who are believers at church, you really are unsure of their character or should I say, you end up finding out that you're unsure of their character when you see them do certain things that you really didn't expect them or kind of think is kind of like out of the norm for that person as it relates to like who they are as a person or who they may have portrayed to be as a person. And I know for me, I was thinking about, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and as we all do, but oftentimes like people talk about how they've worked with people, whether it's in the music industry or actors or actress, and they're like, yeah, this person was cool, blah, blah, blah. But then we went and hung out on a personal level, they were weird, or they were kind of like on some other stuff, they were like really mean, really rude, and I really didn't like him as a person. I'm like, man, wow. Because, oftentimes I know like sometimes you'll see actors play in certain movies and then you're like, oh man, that movie was great. They should do more movies together. But then, behind the scenes, what you don't realize is that they may have, I guess, kind of kicked it off, behind the scenes, and the other person really wasn't feeling them, or the person may have done something foul. So they're like, nah, I'm not really rocking with that dude anymore. I know me. I'll give a more practical example. When I was younger, like in my teenage years, before I really became serious about being a believer in Yeshua, Jesus Christ, for those who that don't know Yeshua. But one of the things that I became cognizant of is that like I used to meet like see a lot of people in church, and then because I was a young kid or whatever, teenager, so I really wasn't really didn't know them too well, but my mom or somebody in my family would know them or go hang out at their house and spend time with them. I'd be like, man, it's a totally different person than what was introduced at church. And I think that now that I'm an adult, I realized that, a lot of people, they have on masks. Like, you don't really know who they are. That's why nowadays I really respect people when I actually meet people, and it's like, oh, so you are who you are here, there, and everywhere that you go. You are. I'm getting who I'm seeing. So what about you, babe? I mean, I know you have, but tell us some of your weird stories that you've, when you've interacted with people, wasn't who you thought they were, and how did you deal with that? Kind of moving forward.
Well, why my story's got to be weird? And I just wanted to say one thing, going back to, you said that when we meet people in public, that they have their mask on. And I was like, you just setting yourself up, because nowadays everyone has on a mask, like, because of the virus. You totally forgot about that, didn't you?
It's funny because I thought you were talking about something about it. Nah, it's not everybody, but yeah, I feel like it was going down a little weird rabbit hole.
Why it gotta be weird?
No, I'm joking.
I know you're joking. But anyways, so, I guess I really didn't have that interaction growing up with people, because I don't think that we kept a lot of different people around us. Like, who we knew was like family friends. And those are the only people that we seen like at all the birthday parties, at all the holiday events. You know what I'm saying? So it was the same people. It was familiar faces. I think as an adult, I struggled with that more, because I was just like, if they sounded good, in our last podcast episode, we talked about wise counsel and what that looks like. And how do you know if you're getting wise counsel from someone? And so I think you gave a really good description about that. So those of you who are listening to this episode who hadn't heard last week's episode, go back and listen to that, because I think that was a really good conversation. But I think it's the same thing in this instance. How do you know that someone's integral or have a good character? And that's who they are at work. That's who they are with their family. That's who they are all across the board. And I'm like, well, you don't know until you see them in those different scenarios and in those different situations. And if they're willing to open up their private spaces, meaning, have dinner with them, they introduce you to their family or to people who they're close to, their friends, you know what I'm saying? Because I have seen that where I've been in spaces where people were like, oh, you're so shy, like you don't ever talk. And I'm just like, nah, it's not that I don't talk, but
I don't
like,
talk to you.
well, yeah, I don't talk to them, but I didn't have like any bias against anybody, but like becoming an adult was, I mean, that I felt like that happened early for me as far as the level of responsibility that I had to take on that maybe a lot of people hadn't had to take on. And so I was just kind of like, yeah, I got into work environments where, I've seen people, whether they're my peers or older, play games where I'm just kind of like, let me just watch people first and let me see how they are with their friends. And then, I know how they're going to treat me. You know what I'm saying? Like, or how they treat the people that they're working with or how they're handling people. And so for me, that's how I was able to tell if I wanted to engage with that person, if I felt like they were someone of good character, because I worked in a retirement home and working around old people, like, and I hate to say old people, but working around the elderly, you really have to have a lot of patience because they can be mean, they can be rude, they can be really nice, or they can have like one day they're super nice. And so like being a teenager working around that and you're not used to those different behaviors, the mood swings, they're older. Some of them are kind of like losing their mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they may come out of nowhere and start yelling at you and you're like, whoa. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I had people like that in my family who like that, older people who were like that.
Yeah, I never experienced that like in life before. So with that being my first real job and seeing that and then watching how like maybe some of my peers would respond in those situations, I would just be thinking, wow, that was really rude, or, you didn't really handle that too well. Like you got off your base. So it's like, how far off your base will someone go? And not to say we all don't have low moments. Like we don't need to show everybody every side of us, right?
Yeah.
But at least for the most part, there's parts of you and I that no one else other than the Lord will ever get to experience because you're my husband, I'm your wife, and I'm not going to be somebody else's wife. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not going to get to experience like that part of me in the same way that someone won't get to experience that part of you of being a husband. Like even your closest of friends and family, they won't know that. They may see a glimpse of it. They may see the benefits or the fruits of, of that, of you being a husband, of me being a wife. But there's just realistically, I'm just saying that there's parts, highs and lows, that they just won't be able to experience because that's not the role that you play in their life. And so I just think that with people in general, like I said, how far off their base do they go? And I just sat back and I watched a lot of people. And for that, I heard a lot of people talk about their closest of closest friends to anybody and everybody. And I'm like, whoa, I thought you rolled tough with this person. Like, you're talking about them. And so that made me hesitant in jumping into a friendship with them because I'm just like, are you processing like the situation that happened, or are you just like going in on this person?
When I was younger as a believer, as a young adult, when I was like 19, 20, like one of the things that I always look for in people, because I remember one of my buddies had introduced me to one of his cousins. I think the first thing she said was that I'm a Christian. And I was like, and I remember saying to myself, I was saying out loud, I was like, yeah, isn't everybody, and I wasn't like really talking like directing it towards her, but she kind of got the drift about, about what I was saying. I've even went to school with Muslims who really didn't live out the Quran or whatever. And I said it because, despite what television and TV shows us about Muslims, the majority of Muslims are actually pretty peaceful. I've met like real, like true Muslims, and they're very, very peaceful individuals. And likewise in the Christian faith, I've met people, again, like I said, I thought we're believers. I thought, was Christians. And you go somewhere and you see Bama's like snorting cocaine. You're like, oh, whoa, what's going on here, brother? So it's like,
okay.
I said that because I was thinking about.
You've experienced that?
Yeah, but like I'm saying, no, I've experienced it. But also, I was thinking to myself, I remember lyrics to a rap song where the rapper said, I seen a preacher man sniffing cocaine through a straw, and I was like, man. But I'm saying that because it's like their beliefs or their titles just doesn't really line up with their character. And I know when I was a kid, people used to always say your talent can take you places, but your character has to keep you there, meaning that, you have to be a person of integrity, honest, truthful. And I think that for the most part, that's something that I've always strived to be, is a person that was honest, truthful. Like I tell people all the time, I say, yeah, I'm a lot of things, but a liar is not one of them. Meaning that if I tell you something, it really happened. You know what I'm saying? Like it really happened. There's no need for it to debate with me or call me a liar. Nah, it really happened. So, but I think over the years, one of the things that I've looked for in people, even just like non-believers, is just a person's character. And I think I gravitate towards people whose character, what I would say, is one who's noble. Even like looking past the Christian faith, because I said I've met Muslims who are very noble. So it's like, yeah, as I become an adult, I look for that. You know what I'm saying? I really try to build with people whose character is solid, like noble. I've met believers who cheat on their wives. I've met dudes who ain't believers who don't cheat on their wives. I've been with the wife for like 16, 17 years, never cheated on her. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so I think in all realms of life, I always look for people who have a good character, and one who's noble. And I've always looked for that. And I think for me, I'm actually kind of skeptical because, like, to be honest, like, it's this cat I know, real good dude, but he cursed like a sailor. But the dude is a really good dude, man, like really good, solid dude. And this is just an example because I know believers who curse like sailors and, claim rep the name of Christ, but it's like, their character is terrible. They're liars, cheaters, they're drunkards, they're on drugs. It's like, man, so oftentimes, like, again, I can look past a lot of stuff that people do if they have a good good character. I guess certain things don't really bother me the wrong way because of the way I grew up before I came to the Lord. I grew up around people who dealt with distributing narcotics. I dealt with dudes people who carried firearms. So I guess that really doesn't bother me at all as it relates to, like, people just, I guess the kind of quirkiness, will I say, as much
Hold
more.
on. Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
So dealing with firearms and dealing with narcotics, that's quirky?
Nah, I was talking about, like, besides that.
Oh.
Because in my head I was thinking, like, I've also met some pretty weird people over the years, like people that are like really weird. But again, solid dudes, you know what I'm saying? And when I say solid, I'm not saying solid as it relates to the faith, and I'm saying solid as far as their character and their personality.
Oh, it's something that that they're not going to come out of left field one day,
yeah,
like swinging an axe at you or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was just kind of like, where are you going with this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no. Okay. For you. I mean, because again, it's just like with people who the conversation is talking about, like, just people who wear masks, like how you, like, in life, how do you kind of navigate that? Because I feel like oftentimes, like, in life, like, people are real apprehensive about meeting new people because it's like, I don't know who I'm gonna get. Am I gonna get, Jesus Christ? Am I gonna get Mother Teresa? Or am I gonna get Jason or Freddy Krueger? Like, I don't know who I'm gonna get. Or am I gonna get Tupac and Biggie? You know what I'm saying? You rattle your enemies. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but I think that goes back to, like, a few episodes ago, we were talking about people who actually get into following, like, the vloggers and following the reality or the YouTube stars and things like that. And it's because it's like low risk. And so that virtual reality becomes, their quote unquote reality. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get so engulfed in that, like, relationship, even though it's like one-sided and it's not even really a relationship, but they feel like it is because, it's low risk. And then they may say, hey, my subscribers, or comment below, and then they may get a response or whatever. So it's very low risk. And so I think that's why people engage in those type of relationships, because nowadays they probably feel like it's impossible to be able to tell someone's real character. I mean, and I've heard the same thing about I
don't think so.
No, I mean, I know you don't think so. I mean, I know you, so I know you don't think so. But I think there's a lot of people who are afraid to engage in relationships because they don't know who they really going to get. I feel like it's the same way in the dating realm as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, well, I mean, it may be a good guy that I'm marrying or that I'm dating, or he may ghost me or whatever, where I may not hear from him again, or he may turn out to be like the daggone devil in the flesh, and I didn't even see it coming. I mean, we've seen movies about it. What is it? The Sanaa Lathan, The Perfect Guy. And I'm just like, nah, there was red flags, but you just chose to overlook it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I feel like with everyone, like, I mean, so what you're talking about is there are character flaws and quirks that it's like, can you overlook that? There's also the other side of that where it's like, no, this is actually who they are. And not to say that the Lord can't bring them to a place of redemption or walk that out, but it's like, it ain't up to me to help them walk through that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I remember, like, one of the things that I've learned on my 31 years of earth is not to judge people. And I say that because I remember one year I was working and it was this young lady that I did not like her at all. I thought she was a jerk. Attitude problem. I was always pop her teeth and she just really chick that I just didn't like her at all. But I remember one day my boss had put me and her to work together for a week. I was like, man, this is about to be a hell on earth. But as I actually began to work with her and get to know her, like I was actually able to really push past that and get to see her, the real person. Like, one of the things that I've realized over the years is that, like, when we meet people, for the first time or second time, even with you, when you first time met me, you thought I was a clown. But oftentimes I feel like when we meet people within a few seconds or a few minutes, we automatically pass judgment on them. And what that does is we put up preconceived notions about a person that may not be true. But when you actually get the opportunity to spend time with the person and sit down and talk to them, you be like, oh man, this person's really dope. Like, oh man, they really has a really good solid person or good solid chick or good solid dude, you know what I'm saying? So I think that for me, I had one of those moments back when I was like 24, 25, where I had to work with a young lady at work who I thought was a butthole. And really, when I got an opportunity to really work with her, really see that that wasn't the case at all. So I think that sometimes it just takes kind of filling a person out, and just really trying to get to know a person, like, regardless of what you perceive. I remember, no lie, Charel, no lie. I don't know if I ever told you this or not, but when I was in high school, I became good friends with a guy who was a Klan member. Well, I don't know if he was a Klan member, but his father was his father was a Klan member, and so was his grandfather. But it's funny because I think we were in class or whatever, started talking whatever, and I know we started talking a lot. And one day he said something like caught me off guard. He was like, "Man, I didn't think all you black people were like this." I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" Like, pause, like, what? What? And he was like, "Yeah, I don't really rock with African Americans, you know what I'm saying?" Like that. He's like, I've never really talk to them. And I think oftentimes what you realize is that people's perception of us is based off TV and movie shows and things like that. So long story short, I can't say he was a Klan member. I don't believe he was, but his father was. So God knows what he was filling his head with. But he actually was like, I apologize, because, I prejudged you. And we actually ended up becoming really good friends, you know what I'm saying? But to me, that was just one of those moments where it's like, you really didn't expect to become friends with somebody like that. Because it's like, man, like, who would have thought that a Klan member would become a friend of African American? Things like that really don't happen. But also, oftentimes, I feel like when you just really take opportunity to sit with a person and talk to them and engage them and get opportunity to really learn their character, then you be like, oh man, this is a really solid dude. Even if he is a Klan member, dude real solid as it relates to his character, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he got some jacked up things that he believe or so forth and so on. But, oftentimes I feel like the Lord desires that we really push past that. Because, it can really hinder us, just being, out of but this Klan member might have a job offer that he can offer you make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Or vice versa, he might be able to give you an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, probably. It'll be the last one, probably. Till I cannot with you. You set yourself up for that one.
My mind wasn't even going there.
No, the fact that you were laughing, you set yourself up for that one. I'm not going to. No,
because your response.
No, I didn't
even
respond
going there, man.
yet. Dale.
Okay, so I say all that to say
I heard
you didn't know
what
that.
You said. I didn't know that. And have I been brought to this guy's house? Have I met him?
I haven't seen him since high school now.
Oh, okay.
He actually got married. In high school.
Oh, okay.
But they got married though when they was like 17, 18 years old.
That's cool. More power to them. Power to the people. No, but you know what? I get what you're saying from that perspective, but I also want to say, like, in those situations, especially that one, definitely guard your heart. Like, just because someone has a certain character. And what you're saying is that, yeah, someone's a solid dude, meaning, I don't think these are people that you can count on necessarily, but you can count on them to kind of like
consistently be who they are as a person.
Whether that be good or bad.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I get, from what you're saying. Whether it be good or bad, you can consistently count on them being who they are. And so I get that, but not to be confused with like, oh, we're trying to say this is the character of God or
No,
whatever.
no, not at all.
No. So I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying, but I just want to make it clear.
But there's actually a scripture. I gotta actually find it. Paraphrase that, if permissible, we should live at peace with all men. So what I'm saying is that, like, to an extent, I have to kind of gauge, because I feel like oftentimes, as it relates to like people of different faiths, like Muslims or Christians, we only hang around Christians or they only hang around Muslims. But it's like you don't really get an opportunity to really learn and know people with that kind of mentality. Yes, as it relates to certain things, I wouldn't trust them, with certain things in my heart because we have different moral beliefs. But it doesn't mean that we can't be friends or whatever. So I was just saying, from that perspective, some of the most beautiful people in the world that I've met have been people who have not been Christians in my lifetime. Somebody just like beautiful, kind people, like would give you the shirt off their back. They ain't been Christians. Vice versa, the people that I've met, I know a lot of good Christians now, so I can say that now. But before I met them, a lot of the people that I've met who were believers, gossipers, they was probably stabbing in the back, So it's like my experience with that is just been up and down. And over the years, I've learned to watch a person's character. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. I do. But I did want to make that clear to like the listener, because I get what you're saying, but it could be kind of confusing if you sitting up here telling people, go ahead and be friends with that clan member. You know what I'm saying? Like, he might offer you
some Kool-Aid.
No, he may.
You want some of his grape Kool-Aid?
No, he may offer you an opportunity of a lifetime. I cannot get past that.
Are you terrible?
Oh my God.
You terrible.
I'm sorry you said it. I'm sorry. But either way, what I'm saying is, like, in all of those situations, guard your heart. Like, guard your heart, because like you said, like, it's not that you're able to give your heart over to these people. It's just, you just know what to expect. And I say that, I think in our last episode where we were talking about wisdom and decisions, I think was that the same episode?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the same episode. So like I'm trying to plug this previous episode, so please go back and listen to it once this is over. So you said something just in regards to the decisions we make with someone and we're not fully thinking it through. And I was sitting there like, yeah, of course you would expect this person to be flaky. That's the expectation, because that's the nature. That's the only thing they've been presenting to you is flakiness, is uncertainty. I had read a passage from James chapter 1, and it was just talking about someone who didn't want wisdom or didn't ask God for wisdom, or they had doubt, and that person is double-minded. And it's just like, well, yeah, that is what you can expect from them. And not to say that they're a bad person because they're double-minded, or they're a good person because they're getting wisdom, but it's like, you know what to expect. And I think that's one thing that people overlook when they're evaluating somebody, whether they be like in a romantic relationship or a friendship or a business partnership. It's like, how is this person ruling for the benefit of themselves, for the benefit of others, and their character and integrity? What role does that play in all of this? And so I just feel like I hear you saying that, especially with the stories that you're sharing. But like I said earlier in the episode, I definitely struggled with this because I really was around the same kind of group of people growing up. And so it's just like, hey, like you said, my mom knew them, so I knew them. My parents.
I ain't know them. I thought I knew them.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. But what I'm saying is, you didn't have no reason to question them because, like, your parents went around them.
I had reason to question them afterwards.
Yes. Once you've seen and, assessed the situation and became older. I feel like as children, we go into situations like, well, we could be a little apprehensive, but if mom and dad keep bringing me around who they're calling auntie and uncle, so-and-so, then, that's just auntie and uncle so-and-so. And I don't have any reason to question that until I get older and I start putting together the pieces of like, oh, how they related and who are they and who are they to me? And did they treat me bad? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I think in all situations, guard your heart. Even if, like, you see that this person, they have consistently been a butthole on the job, and, now maybe a situation has changed where, I don't know, you have to work on a project together, and it's like, yeah, we can work on a project together, and there'll be peace and there won't be any type of discord. By the way, join our Discord community. Just wanted to plug that real quick. But no, there's no discord in between you two while working on this project. But that doesn't mean that we're going to come out of this being best friends. Maybe the Lord is trying to show you that there's a different perspective that, people are living out than your own.
Yeah.
And you can appreciate what the Lord is doing. Like, you may be able to pray for that person in those areas. Or if something comes up where somebody might be accusing someone of something, it's like, no, I know that dude. I know that, I know that woman. They're not going to do that because I've worked with them. I've seen them. I've met their family. They are not that person.
And I think over the years, that's what made me apprehensive, because over the years, I used to listen to like different big known pastors and things and apostles and bishops over the years. But when you start hearing things about them in the news, infidelity scandals and things, like, oh my goodness. I won't say I don't judge people. Like, even if someone says, oh man, that person is a dirtbag, I don't judge them. I try to get to know them for myself. But Charel, I did want to say, did you ever watch that? It was a TED Talk a couple years ago. It was a black guy who actually had the opportunity to interview a high Ku Klux Klan member who was like a leader up in the. I think he was actually the leader of that particular state, but they actually ended up becoming friends. Did you seen that? Was that just me?
No, that was just you. I didn't get in the TED Talk.
I'll send it to you then. But basically, one of the things that the black guy said that really blessed me is he was like, people are resistant to get to know other people of different backgrounds and different faiths because of fear and ignorance. Even going back to the police, killing unarmed blacks. A lot of that is just prejudice, but a lot of that is perpetuated through the media, so it's teaching people who are not black or who can't relate to our culture to fear black people. You always see black people, every time you see them, in movies, they killing somebody or they come out of a window of somebody's house, with a mask on. It's like they perpetuate a certain stereotype about us, even with the hip hop culture, well, I'll say the majority of it, everybody killing bang, 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 chitty, bang, bang. So it's like, oftentimes when you meet people who are of a different culture than you and a different faith than you realize that really what they're really displaying, the character that they're displaying towards you, is one of fear and ignorance. And like the white guy, like I said, with the white guy at my school, when we begin to really talk and vibe, his whole perspective of me changed. Because he had a perspective of African Americans based off, movies and whatever.
Well, you know what that actually reminded me of? So there's this YouTube channel that I frequently watch, but I think it's called like the Black Experience Japan. And you've seen them, right?
Yeah, we watched it together, yeah.
Yeah. So I really appreciate them talking about how they've had and it's not just African Americans, it's different types of, I want to say black people, but I want to say it's different types of people of African descent that go to these Asian countries and their experience in these Asian countries, or even raising their children in these Asian countries and finding work or being married or, traveling abroad, things like that. And so one thing this guy said, which stood out to me, since he said it, I've been thinking about that because you said it several times within this episode. You were just saying how, that's the stereotype perpetuated in movies and what they've seen. And of course, the music and this and that. And it just goes to show about representation. We, of course, are putting out things about fear and reasons to be fearful. I know that there's some African Americans in my own family that are afraid of African Americans because of what they've seen. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, no, no, for real. I just be like, you that afraid of
Run! The black guy with the dreads is here.
Yeah, you afraid of black people like that? Like, you black. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is what they said in one of the interviews. The guy was saying how they want African Americans overseas to stop playing those roles of the robber, of the gangbanger.
I was just thinking that too. I was just thinking that too.
Yeah, that's what he said. And he was like, because it's showing these people over in these countries that that's all we're good for. That's all we're known to do.
And I know one guy said they wouldn't even rent to them. They wouldn't rent to them.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, they won't rent.
I think I've seen that one, actually. Yeah, no,
Even in my earlier 20s, I've tried to holler at like African chicks. They be like, nah.
You tried to holler?
Yeah, like try to date. They're like, nah, man, my family don't fool with African Americans. I'm like, dang. They're like, why? I'm like, why? Is it because, all y'all do is make babies and leave them? Like, dang. They're only speaking about the culture that's was perpetuated on television in America that goes to other countries. That's all. It's not real. It's not true. I mean, I got 2 kids, one on the way. It ain't true. But again, when that's all people have to go off of, their perspective of you is limited. You know, it's a limitation. So they've already created preconceived notions about you that probably aren't true. But it's like, it don't matter. You black. So you whack, you know? I mean, just been joking, of course.
I mean, but I feel like we all do that because, you know, what is allowed to be put out there, you know, what's allowed to be put out there.
I'll say something, I ain't gonna say it.
No, just like we think that everyone who's of Asian descent, you know, is like Jackie Chan. You know, like do the karate move. Go ahead. You could do the thing. You could do the flip and the kicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I feel like in every culture that's perpetuated. I mean, and the same that you said just about people who, you know, it kind of turned you off about Christians was just that they're not the same people that you've seen in the church.
Yeah, it's a falsehood.
But I feel like
perpetuate a falsehood.
Yeah, but I feel like it's that same thing. And it's kind of like a lot of people have that church hurt because of that. They're going in with high expectations that I'm going to go into this church. I'm going to meet the Lord. I'm going to meet some good people of God, because on the outside looking in, it seemed like they got it all together. But then once we get in, they are just like people on the outside. They're just like, you know, the Bama's down the street. You know, I just don't think that people really understand the character that they are presenting,
or just to be honest, just how complex people are. People are very complex.
Oh yeah,
very complex.
And
I'm saying that because one of the things that, again, I used to do in my early 20s is I used to judge people a lot. And then when you actually get to meet people, you realize people are just complex, man. They've probably had trauma in their past, you know, like, I mean, just different things. You're like, oh my goodness. So it's like, you just don't, one of the things that I've learned in my older years is not to judge people. I don't judge people without first giving them their fair assessment. You know?
So you pull out the paper like, okay, here's the character and integrity assessment.
I mean, it's mostly just interacting with them and just.
That's what I know, Dale.
Spending time with them, A, B, C, and D. But I mean, you know, yeah.
No, definitely. That's what I know. It's still hard for people. I don't think people give people time. And also, too, those who they do give time to, it's kind of like, well, I've sized you up and I see you for what you are. And so I'm okay if you wasting my time. So I think I think it can go both ways, honestly.
Yeah. No, I mean, it can.
Yeah, it can go both ways. But I definitely believe that there should be just a period where you're sitting back and just watching before you go and interact. And whether it be good or bad, still guard your heart. Like, and if you don't feel like the Lord is taking you or trying to put you in this situation with this person, don't take it on. You know, sometimes we may look at someone struggling, and just because we're in a position to help or in a position to do something as far as like what we feel, you know, we're in a position to make a change for them, we might not be called to do that. You know what I'm saying? We might not be called to show them the ways of the Lord, you know, by aggressively interacting with them like, oh, this person pulled out they trying to read me my future, this and that. And it's almost like, do I need to come in there like swinging my Bible and holy water at them? Like, you know, the power of Christ compels you. Is that what the Lord is calling me to do?
I mean, if God ain't called you to do it, you better be careful because they might piss them off and they beat the crap out of you.
I mean,
like the sons of Sceva, you go in there, you go in that joint, and God ain't with you, man. They might have something for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, so you know what? Because someone asked me, like, I was in a situation recently where I was working alongside someone, and these ladies, and they pulled out what is considered to be like witchcraft items, and so someone was like, "Well, did you tell them that that wasn't right, that wasn't God, that's not the way?" And I'm just kind of like, no, they don't want to hear from me. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I'm just getting to know them. I'm getting to know who they are. And I don't know what they've been through. They could have been through so much church hurt where they were, they were forced into that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And that seems to seemingly be working for them. You know what I'm saying?
What's interesting is over the past few years, a lot of African Americans have actually been converting to Islam because of what you're describing, because of church hurts and just people just not really feeling like different things are lining up, or people just don't show who they believe in. So they like, man, let me just go over here to to the black man's religion, because Islam is considered the black man's religion. How, why, I don't know, but it is considered that, because I know somebody asked me one time why I'm not a Muslim, why I was a Christian. I'm like, man, I was like, hey man, to each his own, man. You know, that's not what I believe. I respect those who believe it, you know, A, B, C, and D, but that's not what I believe, you know. So
if the guy was to try to get you to want to come over to like becoming Muslim, and he was to like convict you about like, well, that's the white man's this and that, and you know what I'm saying, that could have easily like turned you off, and it would have been like, well, I'm good where I'm at. And I feel like people do that when they see someone who's different. They see someone, like, they forget that there's a person who's living and walking this out, and you have to be, one, careful, and then two, diligent. You know, I feel like the Lord is careful and diligent, and he gives us what we need, you know, based on our character, based on what we've been through, based on what he can see, based on our hearts. He is just like you assess people, he assesses us.
And I'll go a bit further and add, one of the things that I don't do anymore is I don't argue with people. Now, me and a guy at my job, we had a very good conversation because he asked me about Christianity, and he's actually into I don't know what it's called, but it's like ancient Egyptian religion or whatever. But he was telling me, you know, Christ came from A, B, C, and D. But we had a good conversation, and one of the things that I learned over the years is this right here. Just as much as I believe in Jesus Christ and believe the validity of the cross and he died for the sins, that's how much they believe in what they believe. So if you think that you're going to go in and try to debate them about what they believe, you're not. It'll just become
a screaming match.
A screaming match, you know. And that in those situations, like, God actually has to reveal himself to people, you know, people like that, because it's like, just as strongly as I believe in Jesus Christ and the forefathers Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and David, that's how much they believe in Muhammad and Allah and his holy prophets. That's how much they believe what they believe. So if you think that you're going to go into a situation and argue them down or debate them down, no, it's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures actually argue against that. I don't remember the address, but it actually says, you know, just don't debate with people about religion and things like that, because it doesn't really lead anywhere. And it doesn't, you know, because if the Lord wants to reach a person, he ain't got to argue with him or debate with him. He can say one thing to them that will break everything in their heart as it relates to what they believe and in their mind. He don't got to sit there and argue with nobody. You know, I've learned that over the years, you know. So with that being said, we definitely had a good conversation for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Did you want to say anything before we leave?
No. I just want to say, you know, definitely go check out, you know, our previous episode if you hadn't heard it. I enjoyed today's conversation, and I hope that we can continue the conversation in the comment section.
Most definitely. Until next time, peace.
Thank you for tuning into today's podcast episode. Be sure to follow and share your thoughts as we continue the conversation on About This Love's Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channel. Join the About This Love community on Discord. The ATL podcast episodes can be found on all podcast streaming platforms. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please consider submitting a donation via PayPal or Cash App to keep our podcast going. Click on the link below to find our podcast and social media platforms. Thank you. Until next time, peace.